Okay, now another one that we've just done is looking at the difference between sanding down the wood or not. That was a question somebody asked, so quite simply all I've done is to take this piece of wood that hasn't been sanded and this piece of wood that I've just lightly sanded over there with a bit of sandpaper, and it'll be interesting to see, does this one stick better than this one? All right, so at the minute they've got on, there's very similar, you wouldn't know a lot between them. I've just made a note on the bottom of here to say that which is which, and I'll let that dry overnight and we'll come back and we'll give those a go. Maybe only a very slight difference, but if it just means it either makes it worth you sanding it down or scrapping that as a step, it's something else we've covered. So I'll put those to one side. So these have actually been sitting waiting for a couple of days, to be honest. I did it New Year's Eve quite spontaneously and assumed I'd be able to get straight onto it, and I haven't been able to. So here I am a few days later. I'm just coming back to this now. We're going to just start soaking this down. Now, as I've said, this isn't really a how-to video. I've already done 2 half-an-hour long training sessions on how to do this. So you should be able to go off and find one of them. I'm just going to whiz through this now really and be looking at the results at the end to see whether our sanded version was worth the extra effort. So I'm going to whiz on with this and I'll see you at the end. I don't quite know what's going on here, why some of these areas have stayed really white and just don't seem to have soaked in yet, but I really am drenching this with water and being patient, not trying to rub too much off at this stage. This is the bit I love about this process, just starting to see that photo come through. It's so rewarding. When folk comment on these videos and say, why isn't that just sticking a photo onto wood? It isn't. It's something quite magical about transferring this and then rubbing it away and seeing your photo appear. Now this is the stage where I don't really want to go too far on this. It's just starting to scratch a little bit. Well, I think I'm at a stage with these where I've already torn that, and ironically it's the sanded one, the one that I took more time over, that has worn away a lot quicker. But I think that's at a stage now where I need to just let that dry again and come back to it tomorrow when it's dried and give it a final go, and then we'll seal them both off. Well, they don't look as good when they dry, do they, as they did when they're in the last one. That looks just like a mess on the paper there. So let's soak it down again. We'll have one last go at removing some of that paper, and then we'll dry it again, and the next time you see this, we'll just be spraying a lacquer over the top. I know actually that if I sprayed something on it now, it would come as good as it will do when I put the water on here. And it just takes all that white off. Now please, if you've only watched my first video, you've really got to go and watch the second one, because I talk about putting PVA glue on to seal it on the first video. Realise that that really hasn't helped get rid of the white. And in the second video, I really make a strong case that, yeah, I realise I got that wrong. And, you know, we've used a wood varnish. Darren helped me. I miss him in this video. It's a shame doing it back on my own again. But we're just going to take a little bit off of this. You can see how easily that white comes. But I've really got to be careful not to go pulling up the picture now. As you know, I'm just really resting my fingers on this and moving them backwards and forwards. I'm not applying any pressure. I've had a few messages off people saying, keep pulling the paper up every time I'm doing it. What am I doing wrong? Slow and steady. I'm just putting my hand on there and moving it backwards and forwards. I'm not rushing it. With the wood here, I'm particularly staying up and down. If I'm going to have any scratches, I want them to go with the grain. Now nothing is really coming off of here now, or only a small amount. So I reckon I'm going to call that one done. This is the unsanded one. Sorry, I've probably put them back to front from the last video. So this one we did nothing to. This is straight off my lad's bed. We've just put our gel medium on, stuck the photo on. This is our sanded one. I think I'm going to need a few of you woodwork experts to chip in and tell me in the comments what went wrong here. Why is it that the one I sanded has scratched like that? Is it because we've broken up that sealed wood? I mean, I've sanded. It's not like we're talking about a rough palette. This was already, you know, in good condition. It's perfectly smooth. I just thought taking the sheen off of it and sanding it would help the glue to stick and help the photo to stick. But now there might be a bit of, well, you saw me put them on. They really went on very much the same. I'm not saying don't sand it because look what happens, but there's certainly no benefit in sanding it, is there? I could do this again and do it the other way around, and it might be that the unsanded one loses more of the picture. But like I say, I wouldn't go worrying too much about preparing that. To be honest, I wouldn't prepare it. So there we are, we've got unsanded and sanded. When I take this off and spray it, we'll get back to this same kind of colouring on here. And then as I wrap it up, I will just trim those top and bottom. Whether I do that in the video, I don't know, because at this stage, this is just really a testing video. Can you do it? Should you sand it? And on this one, well, you can see for yourself, that's a lot more scratch, so I wouldn't go out there seeing why. But as I say, please comment below. I want this to be, I want your help. I've been shot down a couple of times by people saying, call yourself an expert, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm not an expert. This is a fun project that I want to help you and encourage you to show you how easy it is, really. So please feel free to chip in. You won't offend me by telling me what I'm doing wrong. And others can have a look down the comments and get some help as well. So there we go. That's our sanded and unsanded. I'll put them to one side, and next time you see those, we'll just be coating them off. Okay, so we're now at the last stage. This is the fun bit. We're just wrapping up. I'm just using some of this tissue, to be honest, to cover my worktop here because we're about to spray with some of this oil. I'll put a link onto this if you like, but all it is a furniture oil for long-lasting protection, just a clear varnish really that's going on over the top. So as you can see, the white, a lot of that white did lift from these. We've got our unsanded and our sanded. But you'll see when I spray this on, it really does the same kind of effect as when we put water on here. Now I'm not worrying about going over, let's do them one at a time. I'm not worrying about going over the edges because I will chop this down. Well, that would be the idea here anyway. See how that just brings it straight back to a nice wet look. Don't want to overdo it. Just looking in the light, that doesn't look too wet. But yeah, that's Mr. Unsanded. And Mr. Sanded. I'll leave them there. They may well just soften off a bit from that, but I know it will keep that same kind of varnished look. I will just come back one last time and show you what they look like in an hour once they've dried. Okay, well, I'm super pleased with the way these have come out. This is our, let's get them the same way as they were earlier. Unsanded and sanded. The unsanded one ironically came out much better, no scratch marks than the sanded one. So in answer to the question, should you be sanding it? based on this, I wouldn't bother. For whatever reason, that one seems to have coped better with the process. So now all I would do at the end of this is to take off the top and the bottom, and I've got a nice little square photo. But yeah, there we go. So that's answering that question, and I'm pleased with the results of that. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Watch the tutorials for the full detail. You'll see me how to put this together. This one's been quite quick and just really answering a viewer's question. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Watch the other ones. It might inspire you to have a go at some other projects. Thank you very much.